Hi everyone, I'm Stuart Semple and this is the Stuart Semple Show. My goal with this podcast is to help inspire and encourage you to use your creative voice to make a positive mark on the world around you, because I believe your creativity matters and that art is for everyone. To do that, I'm connecting with some of the most inspired human beings alive. Before we get into it, here's a quick message from our sponsor.
40 years ago, I was down a fucking mine shaft swinging a pick and shoveling shite. These days, it's all about mining crypto. Tommy Kyle, get involved before it goes interstellar.
Big thanks to Tommy Coin. If you want to register, that's tommycoin.com/Stuart Semple for 10% off your first Tommy Coins. Today's guest is a dear friend and someone I'm really excited to introduce to you all. From humble beginnings in Crawley to what's getting on to be a 2-decade-long career spanning shows, performances and projects all over the globe. She was the winner of Saatchi's New Sensations. She's been commissioned by the Baltic, been seen at the Tate, and her works are in some pretty serious collections and museums. She's done projects for the BBC and Google Arts. I admire her for not being scared of dealing with controversial topics or being provocative, but doing that with her own brand of utterly wicked humour. Her series of video art as sitcom for Sky Arts, Nazi Sexy Show, was nothing short of brilliant. She's a true role model who's literally writing the script of what it means to be an artist. So please join me in extending a mega huge Stuart Semple Show welcome to the truly and utterly brilliant Sarah Maple. You right, Sarah?
Oh. Can I keep that intro so I can use it to
you can have
impress people? Because that sounded amazing.
Well, you did it. It's real. It's as amazing as you made it, isn't it?
When you said 2 decades long there, I thought, oh my God, yeah.
It is.
That's scary.
It's getting on, by the looks of it, it's getting on for nearly 20 years since the New Sensations thing, because I think I met you around about that time, because you had the New Sensations thing in Brick Lane in London. I had my show, and I think it was sort of around about that time our kind of worlds collided.
Yeah, I think I saw you on the cover of Art of England. Was that the magazine?
Yeah.
And then it was so funny, because then I got an email from you, and I was like, oh my God, it's Stuart Semple, he's on the magazine, he's emailing me.
So weird. Yeah, those were
it was quite a long time ago now.
It was. I mean, that magazine's gone now, which is probably a good thing.
Oh, has it?
They folded a few years ago, but I wrote for that thing every month, and my God, it was exhausting. I did it for years, and I actually wanted to get out of it. So I was secretly kind of pleased, that it sort of stopped in a strange way, because it was a lot of work. But I got to meet you, which was great.
Yay!
So
yeah, I think you were the first proper artist I'd spoken to.
Really?
Because when I won that award, I didn't get on that well at art school and stuff. So I think after doing that award, I think you were the first person I kind of connected with went to for all my questions.
That's super. I mean, that award was brilliant because it really just booted everything off. And, it must have been nice because people seemed to really respond to your work at that time, like what you were talking about. There was very few people kind of making that work. It was quite punchy, like right out the gate, what you were doing.
Yeah, I think that particular work, it was the first work I'd made in that kind of punchy style. And it went from, so I made that work in the January of that year. And then by like the May, June, I was nominated for this award. And it was just so crazy because I'd been making all this stuff that was not that great and everything. And then in basically it was the January. So it was like the sort of towards the end of my art school life. And I just felt so fed up with everything and just like feeling all the women were being ignored and undermined and everything. And then I just had this light bulb moment where I just made whatever I wanted. And then it all sort of kicked off from there, really. And I think that's the thing. I think once you get your own personality into stuff, the authenticity comes across. And I've just been doing that since, really.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. A lot of people have a lot of barriers to finding the courage, to really sort of dig in and really, they're kind of restraining themselves, they're holding themselves back. But it seems like, maybe I'm not right, but from the outside, it seems like there's a real inner confidence in the work. Like you're not shy to just say it how it is, be really direct and just kind of get it out. Do you wrestle with that though? like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? Is there a sort of inner dialogue, or is that just that doesn't happen? You just say what you got to say, get it out and get it done.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time there is that feeling, but you have to kind of listen to your inner confident voice. Because like the first piece I made that sort of got it all going was that one. It's like a triptych, and there's a picture of me in underwear, and then in a sort of traditional Islamic dress, and then wearing a suit. And then it says, I wish I had a penis because then I'd fuck you, then steal your job. And that was the first thing I'd made like that, where I was just really pissed off and like just getting it all out there. And there was part of me that was really embarrassed about it. But then I knew it was good. I was really embarrassed. I thought maybe if something's embarrassing, it's good.
Yeah, something in it.
Yeah. But I kind of, that's the first one I showed at university in the final year when there was just huge reaction to it. And then my tutor actually said, you've got something here. You should go and make more stuff like this. So then I thought, that's it.
I mean, that's brilliant. They encourage you because, that work is, as I said, I mean, it really is quite punchy. But I think the reason why it's effective is that level of embarrassment and that vulnerability. Because I think the viewer experiences that, when you come across these works, you think, God, should I be looking at this? Is it right? That you feel awkward when you approach the work. You sort of stir that kind of, is it right to be, is it right? And it really starts this sort of inner questioning. And I found as the work's progressed over the decades, that you I don't know if you're conscious that you're doing it, but you're playing with that more and more and more. You're literally putting the viewer on the spot all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I really admire, because you dress it with this huge dollop of humour, right? So you're kind of laughing, but you kind of, and it's this really, the best comedy does it. Actually, the best comedy does it.
Yeah, I love that in comedians. I've always been really inspired by comedy. I grew up just watching British comedy shows in particular all the time. I just think when you're laughing, it's hitting you, it's touching something in you in a different way. For me personally, I find that. And in the work, I think people initially feel taken aback and laugh, and then it leaves something with them, I think. Especially that one, the opposite to a feminist is an arsehole.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, out of everything I've made, that is the one that people get most upset about, even now, after all this time.
Wow.
Yeah, you think there's all sorts of other controversial things, but that one has stood the test of time in terms of its people. It really takes people aback.
Yeah, but I mean,
then when you think about it,
it would. but it's interesting because
insulting people.
The thing is, controversial things tend to, like, my experience with them is they tend to become less potent over time. The things that we found really sensational and shocking, like my parents would have done, like somebody kissing on EastEnders or something. Now, the extreme of what it takes to shock us and provoke us and be confrontational is so vast that I find within art, it's still funny that sometimes quite basic things that if they existed like in cinema or on a Netflix show, they wouldn't be shocking at all. But when you've made it in a piece of work and you put it in a museum, now we're falling into this whole remit of like, did she just call me an arsehole? Hang on a minute. And it's actually a big deal.
Yeah. Because some people are like, I don't really appreciate you calling me an arsehole. So, but the idea of the work, is to say, what is a feminist? Because when I made that work, it was about 12 years ago almost now. And back then, I think we take it for granted now that people talk about feminism is like pop culture now. It's like, it's a thing that's cool to talk about and be involved in. But then no one was talking about that. And if you mentioned it, people were like, ugh, what is a feminist? So basically at the heart of that question, I'm asking, what is a feminist? And if you're not one, then you've got a problem, because basically feminism on a basic level is equality. How can you be against equality?
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that even now there is that backlash against the sort of feminist perspective, and like people are sort of nervous about it. And, we can't go there. There's a lot of connotations about that. And even now it seems like that, a lot of people sort of speculate that the job's been done, it's all been sorted out, and that we're now in this sort of age of equality where everything's cool. And it's actually not. I mean, it feels like it's kind of gone back. I mean, especially with social media and stuff, reality TV, it seems like it's going the wrong direction to me. And certainly in art, it's nowhere close yet.
Yeah. When you look at also the facts of the amount of women in museum collections and represented in art fairs and things like that, it's so minute.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
wrong.
women are being written out of culture and history. But it's like, how do you put women back in? How do you remind people we were there the whole time, or reflecting on that and why women couldn't make work, or, you know.
Yeah, and it becomes a self-fulfilling thing, of course, because the big financial heavy hitters are men, and then people want to show their works, it's going to make money, and then blah, 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 and it just self-fulfills itself. And the cycle has to be broken at some point.
Yeah.
But you know, there are some brilliant sort of female curators, museum directors now. Like, it's shifting. We're, you know, it's happening, but I just think we're quite near the start of that, at least from what I can see.
Yeah, I hope it's not a fad and that it all goes back to how it was.
I hope not. But I mean, you know, I wanted to sort of touch on this idea of self-belief a bit, because, you know, this idea of believing in ourselves to create the thing that we want to say, and having that courage and conviction. And I think it starts when we're quite young, and you have quite a strong dialogue with your mum throughout your work. I mean, she's like a key feature, I think, in the narrative.
Really?
Well, don't you think, like, you know, there's this thing with your mum. So what's the issue with your mum?
It's funny because I didn't realise, because she is a huge part of my work in a way, but I didn't realise it came across that clearly, actually.
Well, maybe I
didn't realise it was that obvious. Well, maybe it is. I suppose like she features in other ways, like I'll have her in the title in some way.
Yeah.
Like my mother's breast, or my mother's headscarf and the breast of Kate Moss in that painting and stuff like that. But I think because of, you know, my upbringing, I was brought up as a Muslim, and my mum is a Muslim and my dad wasn't. So, and my mum was the main caregiver and was the main person in my life bringing me up. So I suppose I can't make anything that doesn't have her lurking there in the background. And I'm always thinking about her reaction to things. You know, I don't think I can escape from that.
No, but how is she now? I mean, she thinks she's doing all right now. She sort of gets what you're up to, and it's encouraging.
Yes, the thing is, I think she appreciates all the things that I'm saying, but I don't think she really likes how I'm saying it. Maybe some. Okay. I mean, in my early work, there was a lot of like sexuality and sort of some nudity and things like that, which is obviously not compatible with some religious beliefs and stuff.
For sure.
And especially like with some of the sexual elements in some of the work, I think that was very difficult for her. I mean that's probably difficult for any mum, seeing their daughter talk about those things and having a laugh with it and stuff. You know, like I did that whole series called Cocks, where I just took pictures of myself with different objects as penises.
Yeah.
And just, you know, to show like how it's just that this object is, you know, it's just an object, just a thing, a body part, and it sort of put men above women for centuries. So I was having a laugh at that. I think she's like, oh, Sarah, oh no. You know, she just doesn't.
Yeah, it must be. But you don't care. You seem to not care. You know, you've put the work out there anyway, and you're doing your thing, and that's really good. But she'd probably have rather you did something else in reality.
Yeah, but I think now she gets it and appreciates it. Maybe because in a way it's sort of moved on to other political things which she finds interesting. But I don't think she would have ever stopped me doing anything. She's always supported me. Yeah, but it is that conflict of doing what you believe and then having also wanting to not upset your family as well. Yeah. So that is a huge thing for me.
But the success you've had, that surely gives her some perspective that although she might not like it, the wider world does see something in what you're up to. And that kind of validates it. Because I found this with my mum. Initially, she wanted me to be a doctor and really didn't want me to go near art. She thought I'd end up chopping my ear off and dying drinking meths in a bedsit. And then after a while, when people were started to be interested in what I was up to, she kind of became really, really supportive. Over the last sort of 10 years, she was like my biggest supporter. She was there for me, everything I did, you know, and I love her dearly for it. But does your mum sort of shifted lanes on that now, that you're kind of obviously doing well with it?
Well, I don't know if this is like a particularly Asian thing, but there's a thing of nothing really impresses your parents that much, I think. Okay. Like it's like, oh, I've just done this. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's just like, it's not really like, oh my God, wow, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, do you have that as well?
I totally relate to that. Yeah. I would be like, you wouldn't guess what I'm doing, Mum. It's this huge thing. And it's like, and she's like, all right, fine. Your dad's eating a pie. I'd be like, I've just flipping told you. Like, what does it take? Do I have to win the lottery? Do I have to be the first guy on Mars? Like, what's going on? It's weird.
But it kind of keeps you grounded, though. It really does keep you grounded. Like my sister, she got a PhD. My sister's a doctor. She's done everything right. She's a doctor. She's got a PhD. And even when she got her PhD, it was still like, all right, okay. So do you want to watch Coronation Street? It was
Oh, no. Oh, hang on, mate. Sorry, my phone's going off. Oh, it's blooming Gail Porter again.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm going to have to take it. Hang on.
Right,
sorry, hold that thought. Hello?
Stuart, it's me. It's Gail. Hello.
Hello.
I'm really, really sorry to bother you, but I know that you've not got much to do. But listen, right, so I was on Tinder, and he said he's only killed once. Should I go on a date or no?
Definitely not, Gail. And I'm in the middle of the podcast. I did tell you, didn't I, that I do this at this time.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. He's only killed once, though. Only the once.
Just please stay away from him. Bye. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Where were we, Maple? We were talking about your sister, and she's got a PhD and done everything right.
Yes. Yeah, she's a genius, basically. And
she's in. Well, let's deal with the geography of the situation. You're in Crawley.
Yeah, Crawley. Woo! Big up the Crawley.
Born and bred. I'm in Bournemouth, and I did my time in London. I did just over a decade. You didn't go to London. I think this is really interesting for everybody because a lot of people think, and there's a huge misconception, that you need to move to a major city. You've got to be in New York, you've got to be in LA, you've got to be in Berlin or whatever in order to establish a career. And actually, you and me have spoken at length so many times about how we feel like not having the financial restrictions, primarily, of being in somewhere like London has actually enabled us to keep our practice going and develop what we're doing as artists. So I think people really enjoy us talking about that a bit.
Yeah, I think all the decisions that I've made in my life basically are so that I can do my work. Like all the practical decisions, like working in a part-time job that has certain hours so that I can pay my bills and I think living in Crawley was just one of those decisions. I even lived in Crawley in the last 2 years of my degree to save money. Just because for me, making work is the most important thing. And I think you can do that from anywhere. You can live in London and then you're paying extortionate rents for things and you don't have time to make your work. I'd rather have that time for reflection and for my practice, really. I think that's what's been quite actually a positive of this situation with the pandemic and stuff, because it's made things so much more accessible. Having talks online and things like that. I think people are sort of starting to realise that not everything can happen in one place.
I totally agree. And I mean, you show all over the world. You show in Amsterdam all the time. You show in New York. You don't need to physically be there. And of course, your last show in London was a couple of months ago as well. You don't need to actually make the stuff where you show and interact with the audience, And I think that finally, thanks to the pandemic, we've realised we have this thing called the internet that connects us, and we don't actually have to. Yeah, I get it. In the 90s, you had to bump into your dealer down the pub in East London and meet up with your mates. Otherwise, you couldn't swap slides. I think they still had their work on slides. But, we have things called JPEGs and things called phones. It just seems kind of really obsolete that, we have to be in like zone one. But, I faced this, because I did move to London. I got, I bumped into Anthony Doffey, the dealer, and he was hugely supportive of me. And he sort of said to me, Stuart, if Tracy Emin can move from Margate, you can move from Bournemouth. And I actually had a couple of guys who supported me financially to move to London, and they were hell-bent on that I had to be there, and I regretted it because financially it was crippling. I was running around just to kind of pay the business rates. It was a nightmare. I wish I'd never done it. And I've never been happier than not being in the centre of the city. I mean, culturally, where I live is pretty starved. Bournemouth's not the best cultural destination, but I like that. I don't want to be bombarded. I want to be able to go to an art fair, whatever, look at the work, then get the hell out of there before I'm swallowed by the whole don't know what I'm doing anymore thing. Do you find that?
Yeah. I think I've always thought to myself, I wish I was in a city because in Crawley there's no artist community type thing you get in somewhere like Birmingham or somewhere like that, where there's a lovely community, you have like studios with lots of artists, and there's nothing like that. So part of me has thought, I'd love to be in an artist community so I can talk to people every day and have a nice thing. But then when I've had other studios, I've commuted into London to have a studio and stuff like that. And I never wanted to talk to anyone anyway. I went in there, I was like, don't want to talk to anyone, just want to go and do my own thing. So there's always this idea of, if I'm doing this, this will be better. But actually the situation you're in is pretty good. And I thought, I've done all this stuff from Crawley, and I've had my best studios down here, been creative here. But I sort of think, it would be nice to be in a city, but I don't think it's going to make my work any better than what it is down here.
I think what I love is that, you're obviously, your prime focus is the work. You're trying to make the best work you can, and everything you do is in service, if you like, of the work. If you do take a part-time job, as you said, it's to fuel the work. And I think that's a really interesting thing, because when you come at it from that point of view, whatever that job is, even if it's not fulfilling, it's part of making the work, and it enables you to kind of get through it. Yeah. And I think it's a really valid way to make work. And I think there's a sort of prejudice against that the work has to support itself. And I think it's absolutely beautiful if an artist is willing to support the work with where they live, with what decisions they make. I mean, it shows a real commitment to the work, and not enough people are brave enough to do that.
Yeah, I think working in a part-time job was probably one of the best things, I think, because in a way it kind of gave me a bit of space as well from always thinking about art and going into this office and having all these people that didn't know anything about art and still talking to me about it and looking at my work and having funny comments, or just overhearing conversations from people in the office would actually inspire a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I find, like, if I just go to the studio all day, every day, there's just nothing there. I get complete burnout, and you just can't do it all the time. And, and I know one of the things that you've been really spinning about at the moment is the idea of, like, having to be prolific or having to constantly share or be making or be creative, just constantly putting stuff out, almost like constantly having to finish stuff for the machine that is social media, I think.
Yeah.
More than anything else. What's going on with all that?
Well, I think at the moment, because, like, so, in 10 years ago when we first met and everything, there was, like, basically MySpace, and that was basically it. Or probably Facebook, Facebook and MySpace. But now I think with Instagram, there's this false idea of, like, everyone's doing everything all the time and it's always great. Everyone's like, and it sort of makes you think, oh, I've got to keep going. I've got to produce constantly, be posting things, making work. I think that does make you feel a bit of a pressured environment. I think I came off Instagram over Christmas, and I didn't really realise the anxiety it was giving me till I went back on it.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and I thought, I'd let go of this horrible anxiety over Christmas, and now it's like, having faces all these... Because, like, how can is your brain really meant to compute 500 artists in one go? Because that's how many people you're looking at one swipe. You're swiping up, seeing all this stuff. Are human brains meant to deal with this many people?
No, and I think that it does something else. I mean, one, you feel the pressure to sort of almost compete and stay relevant and have things on there. The other thing is, I think it does something weird to the viewer. So I think, their attention spans were already pretty low, and they needed immediate gratification from images and work, right? So they need to be able to walk around an art fair, see 200 things, spot one, bang, get the joke immediately, one-liner, Banksy kind of, I got it, done. They need that instant hit. And things like Instagram, and particularly even TikTok now, like, they play into that so much, that immediate sort of reaction, which is really sad because, when you look at the painting that you sent me earlier, the one that the Birmingham Museum have of your parents, which we're going to talk about in a minute, it must have taken you flipping ages to paint, right? And as a painter myself, it really starts to wind me up when people walk around the show. I'm like, I spent months painting this thing, and you're going to glance at it and think you've got it? How rude, It's like, give it some time, because there's depth to your work.
I think I've been trying to do, like, slow looking. So, like, you just look at something for really, because I think I've almost lost the ability to do that. Like, really look at something and take it in and look at all the complexities. And I think I'm actually slightly worried that my work is responding to that Instagram thing, and my work's changing to that, and I'm trying to get out of that. Have you found that? Because you've got a massive following, and I think, do you feel that you need to respond to that?
No, I'm not letting it go that way. So I'll just put what I feel like I want to put, because I don't think it's useful for us as artists, actually, for the audience to be dumbed down. We actually need an audience that know how to look, remember how to look, really know how to look. And it's very easy to put up a funny one-liner and get a load of likes. And if we're not careful, you know, we get that dopamine hit. I've seen the documentaries. I understand how it works on us neurologically, psychologically. And we feed off that. And then we make another piece of work that looks like that one. And then the algorithm learns that things that look like this are popular. And then galleries start showing that stuff. I don't want to live in a world that looks like the worst art of Instagram. I'd rather cut my eyes out. You know, I just don't want it.
Yeah. And we're equating the likes to good, which isn't always... Because we've always liked something we haven't really liked as well. Yeah. You just go through liking things. That's just this habit where like press double click.
Yeah, and I wonder what the level of like is. Is it I don't hate it? You know, is it I really you know, it's all right, it's fine. You know, there's like this sort of thing, oh, it's fine. You know, is that a like? Yeah. Like, well, I think it is. I think it's like, oh, that's all right. It's like it's too easy. Yeah.
And then people keep saying how important Instagram is. And then I think, okay, so I've got to make my Instagram. I've got to like put across my work in this format. And then I think I can't really sum up all the complexities and what I was trying to say in that square, in one square.
No. So you end up saying really simple things and it's sort of a waste.
I think there are benefits in ways of being able to share and reach people, but I don't think it's in any way a substitute for seeing the thing.
It's not a gallery, you know, it's at best an easy website to get your work on it. And you know, I've made some great friends on there, and there's a lovely community and stuff, and I'm grateful for the support, but at the same time it's frustrating when you know, people don't get it and stuff like that. But one of the things you've made recently that's had quite a big impact is your show that you've made for Sky Arts. Now, the interesting thing about it is from the outside, it looks a lot like a sitcom, but you see it as a piece of art. What exactly is going on with it?
Yeah, so I've always loved video art. And so this is a combination of my two loves, comedy and art. So it's a video work in the style of a sitcom. And it's kind of based on my life experiences as an artist. And it's almost set about 10 years ago when I used to work in a sex shop. And there's 6 10-minute episodes, and every episode is based on a different art theme. And in the first episode, I'm told that I have this exhibition in 6 weeks' time. And then every episode is building up to this final show. And lots of funny things happen, like I meet Sonia Boyce and David Tennant and Nikki Beatty. And the whole, at the end of it, the second to last episode is all about, is this an artwork or a sitcom? So it becomes really meta when I'm in this interview.
It does. So it goes there. Yeah. So it's like artists making art in a sitcom kind of meta thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, what did it feel like to be, like, you're an artist, you've never made a sitcom before, I presume, and now you're thrown into this thing where presumably there's a date in the diary, Sky want this thing, you're making it, you did the show for real, which was at Jealous to start with, so you're also preparing for an exhibition while you're making the thing.
Yeah, it became really meta because the show was about making an exhibition, and at the same time I was making an exhibition in real life, and the show is about the fact that I'm scrambling together to get all this work together in time for this show I'm having in 6 weeks. So it's like my comeback show. But in real life, I'm also scrabbling together to get the work together. So it was also like, And then in my head, I was going, why is this not a sitcom? Why is this art? Why is it not? So then, and in the sitcom, I've got this interview with Nikki Beatty, where she's saying to me, this isn't an artwork, it's a sitcom. So I'm also having all this like crazy meta stuff going on. Yeah.
It feels like when you wake up in a dream, and even waking up is part of the dream.
Yeah. Exactly.
But what did David Tennant have to do with it?
Well, basically, he bought an artwork of mine for his wife a few years ago, and it's the picture of me with my hairy armpits, the lollipop one. And so in that episode, it's all about ownership and about who really owns an artwork. And once I've sold it to someone else, do I have any say over that anymore? And how hard that is for an artist. Yeah. So in that episode, I'm meeting him at Soho House Crawley. And we,
There's a Soho House in Crawley.
Yeah. Well, in the world of the sitcom, Crawley has become gentrified. So David Tennant's wearing this Crawley Biennale hoodie. And
the Crawley Biennale, you have to make that a thing.
Yeah. So he's basically doesn't want me to reprint this artwork that he has for the show. And I'm saying, it's only a one-off, it's just for this show, we'll destroy it. And he's saying, no, it's my work. It belongs to me.
Oh my God, the gig.
I won't let you have it. And it was really fun with him because we basically improvised. There was a script, but we also improvised it as well. That was just super fun working with him, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What is your take on that, though, the ownership of work? Because I had one the other day, mentioning no names, but a dealer wrote to me and the person they'd sold my work to had broken it. So had a big smash in the corner of it. And it was like, can you make another one of these, please? And I was like, well, no, because I destroyed the print file. It was like 15 years ago. Can you please look after the things of mine that you have? I don't hear anything from you for a decade. And then all of a sudden it's like, can you fix this thing that someone broke? It seems like it's only ours when something goes wrong with it.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, the value put on things? Because if it was a painting, they'll be like, could you repaint this piece, please? But if it's a photo or something, it's like, just reproduce that. But then I'm being throwaway in the sitcom because I'm saying, I'll just print another one. And then he's the one going, print another one like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think there was an interesting thing with Tracy Emin, and she was talking about that as well, and how she was talking about her bed, and she was saying she doesn't care who owns it because it will always belong to her, and it will always be hers. And I feel like that about my work a bit. Like, okay, it's in David Tennant's house, but it's still my baby.
Wow. Yeah. See, and you're sort of still responsible for it. I mean, that's what dawned on me the other day when that thing broke. It's like I'm still responsible for it. I have to look out for it. I have to look after it somehow, at least while I'm here.
Are you going to make another one?
No. I don't have time. I don't have the print file. I have no way of replacing it or making another one. It's just going to be too hard. Oh, well, the other ones in the series have probably gone up in value, haven't they? Because someone's broken one.
How bad? Is it completely beyond repair?
Oh, it's knackered. Yeah. It was actually quite sad seeing it. So,
yeah.
There you go. Sort of, you did the Kardashian thing, which sort of, didn't you? What was that work?
So I took an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians I put it into like a theatre script, and then I got a theatre company to act out this episode.
That's it.
And it's the episode where Kim gets her bum x-ray to prove that she's got a real arse and it's not implants. And that was the most fun. That was really, really fun.
But I mean, that's in the line of this work, really, isn't it? It's sort of in the same ballpark. And do you think that television, because that's a medium, like I think television's now an artistic medium, at least in your hands. Is that something that you're going to explore more? Are you sort of keen to do more of that work?
Well, I think I'm really inspired by TV and comedies and everything. So I'm not ruling it out, but the sitcom was a lot of hard work.
Was it?
And when I was writing it, I was just like, have I just taken up, bitten off more than I can chew here? Because I've never written a script before. And I'm expecting myself to write 6 funny, they have to be funny, it's meant to be a sitcom, 6 scripts. And it's like, wow. And I thought, am I treading into some avenue that I shouldn't be? But I think it worked out all right in the end.
I think it's brilliant. And again, it goes back to that idea of being at the service of the work. You had the idea, it was a great idea, and then you did what it took to make it happen, and you had to learn to write scripts, presumably, something you've never done before. And now you've realised that work and you're a stronger artist for it. And the beauty of things like television, and I think probably one of the attractions is just the accessibility of it, right? I mean, audience-wise, anyone can connect to your work in that platform. And I'm a huge advocate for getting art out of art and actually bringing it into life, because I think that's where it thrives. And your work touches on that so much, especially the performances and stuff. Are you sort of aware of that aspect? I mean, is that attractive for you, like in making television programs?
Well, this artwork sitcom, that's another thing. I keep making sure that it's definitely, I say it's an artwork, but it's sort of become a sitcom. I think there's been some really powerful TV shows like, Fleabag and I May Destroy You and stuff like that, where there's this real beautiful connection, I think, and it says so much about being a woman today and women in the arts. And I think those TV shows definitely influenced me to think, how can you do that and tell a narrative and a story through art? And I don't think I've really done anything in a narrative way like that before. So that was quite nice. But also the autobiographical elements of it are, because a lot of my work is inspired by autobiography, but not as directly. So this was very autobiographical in many ways. So that feels quite like, it feels quite vulnerable in a good way.
Yeah, but at the same time, you feature in a lot of your work, So it's not out of character. It's actually like the evolution of a lot of things, the culmination of a lot of things. I mean, from the outside, it looks like it makes total sense for you to be doing that work. It's very sort of, it's good. Like, I think it's like the perfect platform for what you're trying to communicate and what you do. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about that I've always wanted to ask actually is like, you have this ability that very few artists have, in that you can deal with quite meaty issues, right? And you do. You go into the depth of really serious, quite potent stuff, and you manage to do it without becoming preachy. And I don't understand how you pull it off, because I don't know if it's the humour that enables you to do that or what, but I struggle. If I go into that direction with my work, I fail nearly every time. I come over as like I'm telling people what to do and I'm being a bit of a bossy boots, but it never feels like that.
Do you think?
Yeah, it never feels like that.
I think part of me wants to leave some of my work open-ended almost. So in a way, I have got a clear message, but I'm leaving it open enough so people can read anything into it. Like I did that work, Anti-Rape Cloak, which is basically, it's a cloak that has Anti-Rape Cloak embroidered on the top, and it's sort of a garment that covers you from the neck to the floor, and it's basically like a garment that the moment you put it on, you're no longer asking for it. And then I went out and took pictures of myself wearing it in different places and stuff like that, and sort of did a performance in it as well. And I think, it's with something like that, you're dealing with, I mean, that one was a really hard one, because when you were asking earlier about, have I had to think, should I do this? That was one of those ones, because it's an important thing that I want to say, but I don't want to be flippant or say in a way that's going to upset any victims of assault,
Yeah, I mean, that work's pretty deadpan. It isn't funny. It's straight.
Yeah.
And the cloak is beautifully made. For those who haven't seen it, it looks like it's like a beautiful object, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's lovely. It's been embroidered really beautifully on the front, and it was kind of inspired by this residency I was doing by the Sisters of Perpetual Resistance, and they asked us to make an object of nuisance. And so that was my object. So it was inspired by the suffragettes. But I think for me, it is a bit funny. I know it's not a funny subject, but there is irony and satire in it, and I think you can it's a tongue-in-cheek idea.
Yeah, and you're sort of delving into the historic bit of quilting and women's work and those things, and embroidery, and Tracy Emin's done that, but this feels, as you say, it's good that you brought in the suffrage thing, because I think a lot of those banners and things actually were incredible artworks that were made, and it did, it certainly had that sort of vibe about it. Yeah, and I think maybe that's why it read as potently as it did.
Yeah, I think I was obviously using the suffragette banners like as an influence in the embroidery as well. But I think that residency was amazing, because I think when people do really bold actions and things that are risky, I find that really inspiring. Like I didn't realise that the suffragettes would smash windows, and I didn't realise that they were so active in that way, and that really inspired me to think, sometimes you do have to cause a ruckus or like an event to get people to actually listen.
Do you think artists should be activists?
I think before I might have said yes, but now I don't know, because not everyone wants to do that today. Not everyone's inspired by that. And, all the work I've got hanging in my house isn't necessarily work that's activisty, but I love it. It's beautiful and it makes me happy. But for me personally, my favourite art and the art I like to make has an activist purpose. I don't know if it's even activist, but it has a political statement to make. And that's my favourite work, really. What about you?
I'm exactly the same. So I think if I'm going to make something, it should be useful. And I call those things like social works, right? And it could be all sorts of stuff, from the artist job centre that I made, or a bit of research or whatever, or sharing the art materials. They sort of feel like social works to contribute, you know. But like you've said, the art that I love or that I would like to have in my house doesn't feel like it's in that orbit at all.
Yeah.
It's really strange. The stuff I like isn't the stuff I make, which is really interesting that you've said the same thing. It's weird.
Exactly. The stuff I like isn't necessarily what I would do or have in my house.
Yeah, it's weird. It's totally weird. But it's interesting that you do see that, at least that your role to an extent is to shift the dial sort of politically or socially, or raise awareness about specific things and use your voice for that. And you've found a way to do that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think more people should be doing that. It almost frustrates me when the really big artists don't do anything. You're like, with all your wealth and resources and connections, you know, you could be at the forefront of this. You could be pushing things forward. You could be doing something with this. And it really kind of like winds me up that we just don't see it. It's weird.
Yeah. I went to Pompeii, this is a bit random, but and I saw like all of, you know, the amazing paintings and architecture and things that they'd made, you know, like 2,000 years ago or whatever. Well, no, it wasn't 2,000 years ago. I can't remember when it happened, but it was a long time ago. And I thought, well, they were making this amazing stuff then with not even a fraction of the resources that we have now. So whenever I make anything, or I see something that's maybe not that I think great, I think you've got everything at your fingertips. There's no excuse for anything shit. That's how I think about my own work. Even when I made that big painting that's in the Birmingham Museum now, I think there's no excuse for this painting to be crap. So it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bit too much pressure on myself, but yeah.
I don't know. Paintings like that, though. Should we talk about painting a bit?
Okay.
Let's talk about that painting. So can you describe it? Because people can't see it. Well,
it is a British Empire-esque, colonial-esque style painting. So I basically went to all these different museum collections and I researched about art that was made during the empire that kind of built up the empire as this amazing thing to kind of try and persuade everyone that it was a great idea. So I took all that artwork that was around that time and then I made my own work that was inspired by my own cultural background. So Sky Arts were making this series called What Does It Mean to Be British, I think, or it was about Britishness post-Brexit. So I've always been interested in this whole, you know, around Brexit with this whole thing where people keep saying, you know, go back to where you came from, all this kind of really retro insults started coming back. And it made me think about my own background. And my mum came to this country from Kenya in the 60s, I think. And that was, and, you know, when they got here, that people would say, you know, go back to where you came from, to my mum and her family, my grandmother and everything. And you sort of think, well, the only reason that they're in this country is because Britain were in India, then partition happened, and then they all ended up in Pakistan. Then they all ended up in Kenya because of like having to them working for the British in Kenya. And then they had to leave Kenya because the British were there, and like, because obviously like they got independence, and then things became really difficult for any Indian people that were in Kenya. So they ended up in Britain. And I thought, if there wasn't an empire, if there wasn't colonialism or whatever, then they wouldn't have been there in the first place. It's like the fact that Indian people have ended up in Britain is the most British thing. You know, it's part of our history. And the fact that people don't really understand that, and there's still this idea of like,
weird.
Yeah, and I really wanted to make a piece of work reflecting on that. And obviously there's a lot of that to say. So I did this image of like me in the middle and then my parents on either side, and then the flags representing the countries. So my dad's British and my mum, obviously Kenyan, Pakistan, India on her side. And then all these different images in there of like partition and the British in India and so, and like what that's ended up with me, this person, you know, all these people like me, second generation immigrants that are now in this country, being part of the world, part of culture, like, you know, being an important part of this country, and then this kind of horribly Brexity negativity that
it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrendous, wasn't it? It was just so bad. I mean, it still is, but I mean, at that moment, I mean, I couldn't believe what they were coming out with, that whole UKIP thing and Farage and that whole, I was like, what is going on? And yeah, it was horrendous for a minute. I actually stopped going to the gym because there was my gym in Bournemouth during the day is a load of very old white British blokes with nothing else to do. And the shit they'd come out with, honestly, in the changing room, I was like, I just don't want to be here. I'm not having any of it. I actually stopped going to the gym because I actually didn't want to hear it. It got really, really bad. It was almost okay to be like that. Like, it was good.
Legitimised
like,
it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But back to the painting, I think this is interesting. So many aspects of your work, and I think this is something we have in common. That we're driven by the idea, and the outcome, sometimes it's a painting, sometimes it's an installation, sometimes it's a performance, sometimes it appears to be a sitcom. It's driven by the idea. So the outcome isn't the point. The idea is the point. So you're a conceptual artist at the root of what you do, right? I struggle with painting because I can never get the same impact out of a painting as I can with other things. But this is interesting because this is a painting that comes from a historic lineage of these kinds of paintings that is now in the Birmingham Museum, which is a very important place for it to be. I think that's relevant. So do you think actually that the painting succeeded in conveying what you wanted it to?
Well, yes.
Good.
I envisaged the painting in my mind. Basically, there was an exhibition at Birmingham Museum called The Past Is Now. And the text on the painting says the past is now. Because I really felt that really struck a chord with me. Just that title. And I think with all the different reflections on it, I do feel at the time I was a bit like, because my dad passed away literally when I was about to start that painting. And I took the picture of him the day before he died. So the picture of all the painting. So it was like very emotionally charged as well, making that work. So I think there's enough in it. But it took me a while to see it.
God, it's so personal.
Yeah, I think when you're in it, maybe sometimes this happens to you as well. You can't see it at the time. When you look back on it later, you realise the impact it's had.
Always. And I think, my mum recently passed away and I did a drawing of her hand the day after she passed away. And it actually just reminded me how cathartic and useful like painting and drawing actually is just for me as a human being. Like, irrespective of whether I'd ever show anyone that work or whatever, I was actually like, do you know what? I remember when I did this. There's something very direct, emotional, visceral about moving things around a surface that I don't get that same sort of personal fulfillment out of making a piece of video or an installation or a performance or something. Do you find that when you work, like painting your dad?
Yeah, I think when I'm painting, I feel like this is where I belong. This is who I am. I feel like an artist now. But then when like you were saying, I feel when I do like a video piece or a performance, I feel the impact of that as well. But I think maybe because I started at painting, there's some sort of joy of depicting an image in paint that is like no other, isn't it?
Yeah, there's something special about it. Making pictures, because you make pictures, and and that's important. I think picture making is actually a really important thing that's kind of gone a little bit skew with. And you use a lot of text. So these are two things that we definitely have in common, our uses of image and text. Have you got thoughts on text in paintings?
I love it, basically. I really love it, but I'm always trying to find interesting ways of putting it in. And sometimes that stops me because I have a text, I have an idea of an image and an idea of a text, but I don't know how to get the two to marry together.
I like it when they don't sometimes, I think, because it adds a whole nother dimension. You can do things in text that you can't do in the image and vice versa. So I like that sort of tension between the two. I really enjoy that. That's something.
Yeah, I love text in any context, really.
So, Sarah, you're the first ever guest on the Stuart Semple Show, which means you're super special. And you get to come up with a make every week for our audience listening at home so that they can make stuff along with the episodes. And I thought we'd call those Maple's Makes.
I'm very excited for Maples Makes.
Good. And what is the homework this week?
Okay, find a magazine, any magazine. Flick through it and choose an image that appeals to you. Now cut that thing out. Now flick through the magazine again. Choose another contrasting image you find interesting. It could be anything like a toucan, a pair of gloves, an ironing board. Cut that out. Now stick the two images together in an amusing fashion that highlights that contrast. Voila! An exciting collage.
Wow. So that's Maple's exciting collage challenge. So if you want to do that piece of homework, share the work on social, use the hashtag #MaplesMakes, and Sarah and I will check out what you're up to, and we might even comment and share our favourite ones. Okay, back to the show. What's I going to ask you about? I was going to ask about cats, actually, because that's the other thing. You know, we see your mum, and then we see the cat a lot, actually, in your life. Cats are a big part of your life, aren't they?
I just love them. Love animals. I've gone all Morrissey with Meter's Murder on the veggie vibe.
What are we going to do about Morrissey, right? Like, let's do the Morrissey thing, because you and me saw Morrissey together.
Yes, we did. I often think of you when I'm listening to Morrissey.
Yeah, I think of you when I'm listening to Morrissey.
Oh.
And he's a diabolical rotter that made good work. And we've been having a little bit of a banter on Instagram about can bad people make good art?
Oh, God, this is a tough one, isn't it? Because sometimes you want to it's like Michael Jackson, isn't it?
Yeah, well, oh, God, don't go there.
You can't even go there.
I don't even want to think about it. It's my whole childhood ripped out.
I know.
Stamped on. What are we going to do about Morrissey, though, mate? So we're allowed to like Morrissey anymore?
I've been listening to Morrissey a lot recently, and Jamie was like, husband, for anyone who doesn't know, he was like, oh, he's a racist. And I thought, oh, no. He's like, he's been cancelled. I thought, if he's been cancelled. But then I think maybe I've deliberately done this. I don't know what he said, but I know it's bad.
I don't want to know either.
Yeah,
I don't want to know either.
Yeah.
I just want to leave it at the poetry, you know.
But he was like so against Thatcher and, you know.
I know. And I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't know. There's some of the best songs ever made.
I know.
What are we going to do?
I love
him.
It's
really hard.
Oh, I mean, should we have Googled what he said so we can be aware?
People are going to tell us, like, as soon as this podcast goes out, we're going to get it. We're going to get the thick end of why we're not allowed to like Morrissey anymore.
Is he a COVID denier?
I don't know. I sort of thought he was a vegan, and then I realised he's actually really kind of probably quite sort of right wing and a bit of a sort of fascist Nazi kind of bloke.
No, I mean, I'm not a fan of Nazis.
No, but you, why is the sitcom called what it's called? And don't make me read it out again, because it's a bit of a tongue twister. What's the sitcom called, and why has it got the word Nazi in it?
Sarah Maple's Nazi Sexy Shark Show. And part of me does wonder if I should have called it something else, to be fair.
Has it got Nazis in it?
No, there are no Nazis. The thing is...
Has it got a shark?
Yes. Oh, has it got you? Has it got a shark in it? Oh, and I don't know if it... Sort of.
Maple, it's blatant false advertising.
It's because basically when I was talking to Sky about what the title was going to be, the idea was going to be Sarah Maple's The Show. And they were like, oh, that won't get any clicks. That's they were like, well, it's not going to stand out. And they said, oh, did you know that the things that people click on the most are Nazis, sex and sharks? So I thought, wouldn't it be funny just to call it Sarah Maple's Nazi Sexy Shark Show? But now I think that might have scared people off instead. I don't know if I'd watch it.
People will be complaining. They'll be like, watch that 6 parts so I waded through, bought my Now TV subscription, see a blooming Nazi.
Seen this woman.
Emily will watch anything with a Nazi in it. She loves it.
Well, she needs to... Unfortunately, there are Nazis. There is some sex because I'm working... I used to work in Ann Summers. So it's based when I worked in Ann Summers. So it's me in the sex shop. So there is some of that action. But
there's something for the dads in there. That's good.
For the dads. Yeah.
Great.
Apart from that, nothing saucy at all, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're coming towards the end. I want to ask about Marina Abramovich. Let's do that. Go on.
We might have to have a private conversation about this.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't think we're going to talk about Marina Abramovich then.
The thing is, the coolest thing ever happened, but I'm too scared to say in case it makes me look like a sad fangirl.
Okay. So well, you don't have to say that. No, we won't go there. We won't go there.
The cool thing was that she did a takeover for Sky and she picked some of my work.
Very cool.
And when I met her, she was telling me that she liked it. And that, for me, she's like one of my idols. So that was a very cool moment. And I feel like I can retire now.
Yeah, but why do you feel ashamed to say that? That's a beautiful thing that happened. You should be proud of that.
Well, there's more to the story.
Oh, okay. Okay. When we stop recording, you can tell me what happened.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. I just kind of wanted to end on the idea of being true to yourself and your work and the idea of collaboration versus competition. So they sort of go together. So one of the things I've always loved about you is you're so open to collaborate. And I remember like times that I think we stayed up all night or almost all night painting those T-shirts and writing penises on them. And then we went down to the Art Car Boot Fair. And I think we both pretty much fanned over Ben Lewis and Peter Blake. And, it was really nice. And I think that one of the beautiful things about you is that you're up for collaborating. You're very open, you're very supportive. You've been supportive of me and my work. Even when everyone hated me, you're one of the few people who said, no, he's all right. And you believed in me. And it meant a lot to me. So thank you for that. It did mean a lot to me. I wonder why you're like that. You're not kind of like trying to get somewhere, push people out of the way, get something no one else has. You join in. You're more of a community-minded person. And I think that's beautiful. Why are you like that? How are you like that? Why is that important?
It's a very nice thing to say. I think it's the love of art and artists at the heart of it, I think. And I think you're very much like that as well, though.
I try, but yeah, maybe.
You try?
Yeah, I try. But it's nice. I think that things get better and stronger when we do them together. And,
absolutely.
I don't think we can do it on our own. You certainly couldn't have made your show on your own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, my whole career, and it's always, if something good happens, it's always thanks to someone else who's been lovely and helped me. I mean, I've got so much to thank you for. I mean, you've introduced me to so many people, and a lot of things lead back to you in my career.
Well, that's good. It's nice to have had a small part in something somewhere.
Yeah, I think you supported me early on, and I think it's nice, having mentors is really important. So I try to also help other younger artists and give advice and things like that, because I know I needed it 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you stay humble then?
I don't know. How do you stay humble?
Well, I used to have my mum telling me it wasn't good enough. But she's gone now. I have to think of something else.
Emily.
I actually just remember one of the things she said is it's her job to keep my feet on the ground.
Yeah.
I remember her telling me that once.
Yeah.
So maybe she did well with that. I don't know.
I have to say, I think it's mums as well. Yeah.
Mums are important.
Yeah, and always be honest with you.
Mums are important. Yeah, we owe a lot to our mums. Well, that's the end. Thank you, Sarah, so much for being with us. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you online and see a bit more of your work?
They can find me on Instagram at Sarah Maple Art or just on my website, sarahmaple.com.
Amazing. Yeah, so go and check that out and do head over to Sky Arts and watch that sitcom. It's going to be so funny. I'm going to be watching it tonight. I can't wait. Sarah, thank you so much.
Total pleasure. It was so lovely to speak to you.
And you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining me. So if you do make a Maples Makes, be sure to share it on social with the hashtag Maples Makes, and Maple and I will be able to check that out. Next week, I'll be hanging out with the amazing Ron Arad, so come along. It's going to be really, really good. Meanwhile, if you want to say hi or keep in the loop with what's going on with me in the studio, you can find me online by searching Stuart Semple. Otherwise, I'm at Stuart Semple on Twitter and Instagram. Be excellent to one another, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.